In this video, we're going to do two things. Distribute, which is multiply one term times a polynomial, in this case, a binomial, two terms, as well as multiply binomials by binomials, otherwise known as FOIL, which is also multiplying. I wanted to show you, first of all, with one term multiplied by each term inside the parentheses. First of all, if there's nothing here, how do we know it's multiplication? Good question. The mathematicians somehow decided that originally 3 times 4 looks like that. That's a multiplication sign. Then they decided it's 3 multiplication sign 4. Just FYI, that is not what this decimal is on the calculator. There are some calculators that have the decimal right in the middle, and it looks like a multiplication dot, but it is not. When I taught at Charter High School, there was a student that was following along and was multiplying fractions and would use that because it was on the paper a multiplication dot. So in case other people are confused by that, I understand the confusion. Just use the original multiplication sign on your calculator, okay? Then they decided that we can just say 3 parentheses 4 means times. If there's no plus or minus sign, just assume that it's multiplication. I apologize for the confusion, but I certainly hope that that makes sense, that all of these are multiplication. So if I have 3 times x plus 4, that means this is multiplied by the x as well as by the 4. So we're going to work on that problem right here. The 3 is being multiplied by the x. And what does multiplying, why is it called times? If I give you X amount of chocolate 3 times, you have 3 times been given X, and that would be 3X. That's where the times comes from. If I gave you 4 candy bars 3 times, you would have 12 candy bars. If you gave me 3 candy bars 4 times, I would have 12 candy bars. So that's where the word times comes from. So when we distribute, we're distributing by multiplying the 3 by each term inside the parentheses. 3 times 4 is 12. Here, this is not subtraction. It's a -3. There's no multiplication, but it is multiplication in there. There's no plus or minus sign. So if there's nothing, then we know that it's been multiplied. So we do -3 times 2 is -6, and put down the x. -3 times 9 is -27. That's distribution. 8 times 2 and 8 times -5. If you want to pause the video and work out the last 3, that would be a great thing to do. And then start again when you're ready. I assume you're ready to check your work. 8 times 2 is 16x. 8 times -5 is -40. So this is the time that most people will have a mistake. If they do make a mistake, they might say 8 minus 5 because it's just so easy to look at that. But remember, it's multiplying when it's outside the parentheses. This negative is like a -1. Remember what we did? I'm not sure which video you might have seen before, but when we're adding and subtracting polynomials, we had a subtraction sign. That negative just basically changes the signs on the inside. It's like a -1 because for some reason they decided that you don't have to put a 1 there. But -1 times 12 is -12x. -1 times 7 would be -7. Last, we have negative distributed by a positive, so -1 times 6 would be -6. -1 times -4 becomes +4. Basically, the negative sign out in front of the parentheses just changes the signs that are inside. And remember to put the x there. So that's multiplying, which is distribution, and that's just one term multiplied by both terms inside the parentheses. This time, we're going to multiply 2 terms by 2 terms. To make this cleaner, I like to multiply the first term and put arrows on the top. Remember, this does not multiply by anything inside the same parentheses. It's only being multiplied by each term in the other parentheses. 8x times x. You multiply the numbers first, and that's basically 8 times 1, which is 8. Now we have to multiply x by x. That's 2x's being multiplied, and that's where we get the term squared. This 2 means the x is being multiplied twice. Then 8x times 5. 8 times 5 is 40, and there's only 1x. We've already done the 8x. I like to cover this up, but not the sign, because I want to make sure whether that's positive 9 or negative 9. I'm going to draw these lines underneath. So 9 times x is positive 9x. 9 times 5 is 45. This is another time where people will say 9 plus 5 is 14. Make sure you remember to multiply. Just say it in your head. These middle two terms usually will be able to combine. So 40 plus 9 is going to be 49x. And bring down the 8x squared and the 45. Let's multiply these. Again, I start with the first term. You can put your finger there, and it helps your eyes to follow them. 2x times x. I hope you said 2x squared, or at least thought it if you didn't say it aloud. 2x times 8. Multiply the numbers and bring the x. Cover this up, but don't cover up the minus sign. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x, and negative 6 times 8, 6 times 8 is 48, so it's negative 48. In multiplication, you have to have two negatives. If there's one negative, there must be only a second negative in the problem. Negative times positive, we need that second negative. If we had a negative times negative, then we need to change that to a positive as the answer becomes a positive, because you already have the two negatives, and that's only in multiplication and division. Here, I would like you to stop the video and do the last two and see if you can get them perfectly correct. I do have two negatives in that one, but just challenge yourself and see if you can get that correct. Okay, assuming you've stopped it and started again, we'll review these. 2x times x. 2x times negative 6. I'm pausing so you can actually call it out yourself. 5 times x. 5 times negative 6. So you should have gotten 2x squared. Negative 12 plus 5 is negative 7x minus 30. X times x. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 7 times negative 4 is positive 28. I should have circled these just to remind you, but we're combining the middle terms. So we have x squared, negative 4, and negative 7 is negative 11. If I owe 4 and I owe 7, I owe $11. Add them together and keep the sign. Now this is also called FOIL. What we did was we multiplied the first terms. So where does the word FOIL come from? We multiply the two first terms in each of the parentheses. This is the first term in each of the parentheses. These are the last terms, just to know what the terminology is. This stands for outside. So we did the first, outside, inside, and the last. You can do that. I just found it simpler to just use the arrows to multiply instead. So hopefully that helps you multiply binomials or FOIL and multiply by distribution. God bless and see you next time.